Hey, welcome. It's Sam Rashkin, and this is the third of four videos on how to use the SIPA True Cost bidding tool. On the first video, we showed you why to use the tool. Basically, this is an amazing resource for you to translate the hidden cost savings and hidden extra value that comes with SIPs when you provide a bid. In other words, it's a tool to be much more competitive as you try to get new project to use SIPs. In the second video, we showed you the entire layout of the tool from beginning to end and all the individual components that you use to get to a final result showing the true cost of SIPs. Now in this third video, we're going to use it on a specific project so you see exactly how to apply it on your own projects. So let's begin with a project introduction. This is Duke Street Cottages that we're going to do the sample case study of applying the SIPA True Cost Bidding tool. This is an affordable housing project, 11 single-family detached homes, a shared common green space and gardens and storage, but most significant, notice that the prices start less than $200,000. This is an amazing workforce housing project with SIPs that is truly affordable. Now, looking at the project details, you'll also see that it's not just that it's affordable, but the actual components and all the details come with excellent quality. First, you see this all-electric home comes with very outstanding components. You have the washer dryer that's high efficient. You have a very efficient water heater. You have efficient kitchen appliances, induction cooktops, and you also notice the kitchen counters and cabinets, also excellent quality. Then comes the advanced comfort system. This uses a ductless mini split inverter driven heat pump for outstanding temperature control, low energy use, and really good comfort. So this is also a high quality feature of these homes. And last, in terms of quality features, I'll call attention to the indoor air quality package. In addition to all the requirements of EPA Indoor Air Plus, the whole house ventilation, the source control, the high capture filtration, you have monitors and sensors to actually track the outstanding indoor air quality performance of this home. So this is an outstanding home. And also from the outside, I want to call attention to the way above minimum quality features that you get. Notice that the cladding on this home is cementitious board, high quality 50-year lifespan siding, great attention to trim, color, high quality windows. You see the finishes we talked about before that are excellent quality. So this is the package we're talking about, a 2-bedroom, 800 square foot home that we're going to compare construction with SIPs and with framing. So before we go into that, I do want to highlight one very significant feature of this project. It is SIP optimized. Last video we showed you the resource for determining if you're SIP optimized or not. That's an important resource for you to check. But when you're SIP optimized, you'll see that the numbers come out really compelling in terms of the business case for using SIPs. Here I show the floor plan, which is a very convenient, simple geometric shape. It has 2-foot dimensions, which work with the SIP panels being used. Look at the roof line, how simple and easy it is to build with SIPs. And in addition to that, the locations are easily arranged for the beam, for the posts and the beams, and the span from the walls to the ridge beam are all aligned with meeting the requirements of the SIP panels. So again, outstanding optimization for this project. But it's not only in the requirements, the technical requirements of SIPs, the design requirements are also optimized as well. Notice above the bedroom area, you'll see a storage space or storage loft for the full area above all the bedrooms on the left side of the floor plan. Then on the right side of the floor plan, you have vaulted ceilings that also add value to this project. So we're real excited about this project. Let's see how it works with SIPs, with the SIPA True Cost bidding tool. And as we discussed last week, this is where everything begins. You go to the guidance documents that you can choose from, and you use a bidding tool checklist on every project you do. it's completely organized to align with the inputs, as you will see as we go on the following slides after we look at this. Last week we showed you the layout of the checklist. Now what you want to do is complete it for a specific project. The key point to know is you don't have to fill in every number. If you don't know it or it's missing and it's not critical to the project, don't worry. Let's go through one section at a time, starting on the second backside of the checklist with cycle time. What we've done is group all the individual construction components so you can easily enter the cycle time or number of days required for framing compared to SIPs. So you see for structure, it's 6 versus 3 days. For insulation, it's 2 versus 0 days. And of course, that's because the insulation comes with the SIP when you install the panel. Airflow control is 3 days versus 0 days. And again, this is because the SIP installation, as you will see, includes all the airflow control. Finishes is 2 versus 1 day. Mechanical, electrical, plumbing, or MEP, is an extra day for SIPs. We'll explain why a little bit down the line here. And then quality control is 2 days for framing versus 0 days for SIPs. So it's really important to kind of figure these out on the front end because cycle time is a very important component of true cost. Then comes the general project information. And here we want to enter the price for the home, the conditioned square feet above grade. If it's a basement, you might have conditioned square feet below grade. Here you see 0. The cost for above grade space is $250. Normally below grade space might be worth 50% to 60% of above grade space. We put in here $125 just to kind of keep track of what it would have been if we had a basement. But as you see in this project, it's a slab on grade. We assign $50 to the value of all that additional attic storage loft space, $25 additional value for all the square footage that has vaulted ceilings, and then for the carrying cost for construction, you have a whole array of costs that you can never get away from as a builder. Your operations expenses, your leasing of the space and of equipment, your salaried labor, you have construction interest on loans. All that is counted towards this number based on research that says for an average builder, you run about $500 to $800 a day for operations costs. Now there's one component of carrying cost per day that's not included in that research number, and that's velocity. So if with SIPs we can build an extra 2 or 3 or 4 homes a month and we make $30,000, $40,000 a day, very quickly the SIPs means you're making a couple $100,000 extra per month just because you're producing more units per month and per year. That's velocity. But here we don't count it to be conservative, but this is a really important one to eventually to insert into your sales messaging. And then lastly, estimated cost for dumpsters is about $500. This is kind of an old number. Costs may have increased, so it's always important to keep track in the latest numbers. Then we move to the individual components, starting with structure. Here what happens is either you have the overall bid package number, in this case for SIPs and framing, $35,000 versus $25,000, or you have itemized cost that you can enter instead of the overall package number. So you might have itemized costs for the roof, the walls, floors, beams, and foundation. Now, one thing you notice with the $35,000 for SIPs, there also is a $4,000 cost for wall framing. And that's because the SIPs is just the outside enclosure, and you still need to frame the interior walls. So that's why you have that additional cost for SIPs. Then comes insulation. In this project, the estimate was $1,500 for roof and attic. Wall cavities was $1,500 and $2,000 estimated for continuous insulation board around the entire perimeter. And these costs do not occur with SIPs, so you don't see any costs for SIPs. For airflow control, this SIP provider takes care of the air sealing, and there's no need for wind baffles and attic vents and the house wrap. All of that's included with the SIP provider. So you see those costs for framing, but no costs for SIP. Then for finishes, you see a cost difference for drywall, $5,000 versus $4,750. We took a few percent discount for SIPs because with construction of drywall, in this case, you have the OSB around the entire perimeter, which means you don't have to find studs for attaching the drywall and then cut and have waste and time and all the effort to get the waste to the dumpster. So normally I would recommend 20–25% of the drywall price be a discount number you deserve because of all the reduced waste and labor by the drywall subcontractor. But this will be something you have to eventually educate the drywall contractors and work to get them to provide that discount. Admittedly, right now it can be difficult. For cabinets and interior trim, it's the same prices. I put them in just to keep a record of costs. The SIPA True Cost Bidding tool is a great tool and resource for you to kind of document the numbers that you learn for construction cost. Then comes mechanical, electrical, plumbing, MEP, and the only number I entered were the different costs for electric. I assumed this would be one of the first projects for the electric subcontractor and that maybe they attach a 10% premium. So the $8,000 would be the cost with framing and $8,800 for SIPs. What's important to note is that what we hear over and over again is electric subcontractors get used to wiring SIP homes very quickly with no additional expense, and some electric subcontractors say it's actually easier with SIPs. So as you get past the learning curve, you should almost have no cost difference between framing and SIPs for electric. You should also note there's a line here for schematics for optimizing MEP. What you will see is that in some cases, the SIP provider may require you to do some additional schematics and workups to get the house to work with the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. Not in this case, so there were no costs shown there. The last component for construction is quality control and lean construction. We assume that the inspections for SIPs will be much less. We use $300 for framing, half of that for SIPs. And this is because you don't need to inspect the insulation. It already comes in automatically grade 1. You don't need to inspect the framing, the exterior insulation. There are a lot of details that go away inspection-wise when you use SIPs. So here we showed a discount from $300 to $150. And because of the inherent quality of SIPs, we show a reduction from $1,000 of rework for framing to $200 for SIPs. And lastly, the number of dumpsters for the enclosure reduces from 2 for framing to 1 for SIPs. And that's obvious because you don't have to cut and have all the waste that you have with framing. So those are all the key components. So the last section of the checklist is the added value with SIPs. There are 3 key blocks here: enhanced quality, enhanced space, and the incentives and savings that may be affected by SIPs. In the case of quality, we took credit for the much greater strength and accuracy, dimensional accuracy of SIPs, and assigned a value of $2,000 for this. It's an amazingly higher quality product, more dimensionally accurate. It's much stronger. You feel it when you walk in these homes. So that's the value we assigned, and that's just like a percent of the construction cost. For resilience, which is much greater in fires, when you don't have vented attics, the embers can't get inside the attic and ignite the framing, and for wind resistance and impact resistance, it's far superior. So we assigned $1,000 additional value for the added resilience. Appraised values for SIPs will be hard to realize with a normal appraiser, so we leave that at 0%. Our hope is appraisers begin to understand all this added value and assign that. So there's a place there, if that happens, to include that. When you get to enhanced space, we're mostly looking at the improvements in the condition volume or added volume that's created by using SIPs. The biggest case will be the attic space that can be leveraged. That's normally just trusses and not useful in framing. So in this case, we have 400 square feet of attic storage above the bedrooms, and we have 380 square feet above the kitchen, living, and dining space for vaulted ceilings. In addition, because this SIP is so efficient, it's equivalent to a 6-inch frame assembly, so we gained 2 inches around the entire perimeter. So that means we've gained about 19 square feet in this project of conditioned space just because a thinner wall outperforms a 6-inch wall. On incentives and savings, this is a section that allows you to add the benefit where SIPs get you across the finish line to qualify for, let's say, Energy Star certified home, Zero Energy Ready home, or possibly some utility rebates. If that happens, you can insert the rebate benefit and account for that in the bidding tool. For instance, if SIPs gets you from Energy Star to Zero Energy Ready Home, the 45L tax credit for framing that's just Energy Star would be $2,500, and the SIPs Zero Energy Ready Home would have a $5,000 credit, which is $2,500 additional value. Note that I put in the insurance cost just because it's a data point I may have collected. And again, I want to document so I have a record of data that's useful when I do other projects. Now the hard work is over. You've collected the data. Now in minutes, you can enter it in the bidding tool and get your results. So let's move to the bidding tool. But first, let me again remind you that you have this guidance document called the True Cost Bidding Tool Input Checklist Guidance. And a lot of the numbers I've used and a lot of these quick review of how I filled in the checklist for this project comes from the suggested default numbers you can use on this particular reference piece here. So remember you have this if you get stuck to pull some numbers out to fill in blanks on your checklist. Okay, now we're at the SIPA True Cost Calculator. You've gone into the basic interface and you say you want to work on a project. This is the first sheet that will come up. And I want to say one thing about this project information sheet. You'll notice at the top you have the navigation bar, and it shows me in the blue that I'm at the very first step, the project information. Remember, we discussed in the second video, this will track wherever you are in the tool. The blue will highlight each step that you take. In addition, you can click on this navigation bar at any step and move around any preference you have. So if you want to fill out one section out of sequence, you can do that and go back and forth or review an input. So the navigation bar is the way you get around. At the bottom, you see that you have also the ability to navigate just by hitting next, and that will take you to the next page. Here you see I filled in all the information that you would normally know how to do. It asks for what is the name of the project, what is the zip code, what is the size of the home. These are all the numbers that you have, the builder's name. I want to highlight there, again, what we covered last week. There are 5 inputs where you have these entry diamonds that you hit on the right side to select an input. And that is basically going to be the home size. You'll select one category that fits your project. The type of builder, you select the type of builder you are by the options when you hit the drop-down menu. There's a drop-down menu for whether you're SIP optimized or not SIP optimized. And then there's a drop-down menu for which kind of code is in force where you are building. And then finally at the bottom, there's a drop-down menu for project status. So those you'll have to select from the options in the drop-down menus. Okay, in the next page, we move to the first entries that we do that come from the SIPA True Cost Bidding Tool. I'm going to blow this up, but I want to highlight a couple of things here. Again, you have the navigation bar at the top, and at the bottom, remember, you have those 4 helpful documentation resources that we talked about last week. The checklist that I just mentioned, the input guidance that I just mentioned, user tips for how to use this tool, and then the SIP optimization factors that can help you decide if a project's SIP optimized or not. So all this is on every sheet on the bottom. As I zoom in to show you how to fill in this tool, I'm not going to show those any further. I'll be cropping out the navigation bar and these bottom reference documentation as well. So let's zoom in on the home details. And what I'm going to do as we show you how to do the inputs, in the upper right, you see that I have the checklist that we just filled out for this project. And now we're going to fill out the home details and retail costs that come from this very top section, general information. And you can see that everything in this box slots directly into the inputs that are on this page. So the very top one, you see 199,900 is the price. That goes in right here. You see the 800 square feet. in the checklist near the top, that goes in for the total condition square fee. I'm not going to go through all the numbers. What you need to understand is all the numbers and all the boxes on the checklist were intentionally set up so once you're done, you've completed it, you can simply drop them into the tool. And like I said, this should only take minutes once you've done the hard work getting your numbers together with the checklist. So we put all these numbers into the home detail retail cost page, and now we're ready to move on to the key components. So here's the next page, bid information structure. And I want to highlight two things about this page, and this will be on every page moving forward, so I'll only talk about it once in terms of what it is, but I will call your attention to how the numbers will change. What you see at the top blue bar is a dashboard that keeps track of the net cost savings for SIPs versus conventional framing. If the number is negative, SIPs cost more. If the number is positive, that's a positive savings, so SIPs cost less. On the second item, added value, if SIP adds value, it will be positive, and that will be a benefit for using SIPs. And the third number is this first number, A, the savings, plus B, the value, is the net true cost for using SIP versus conventional framing. And if it's positive, you have a cost advantage. If it's negative, you have a premium for SIPs. Now on the bottom, we have the bars that total the cost for the component. In this case, we're on the structure page. So all the costs are in the details we fill in for the structure will be added up at the bottom. So you have a running tally at the bottom for this page only. It does not take into account the number of days that might be different for SIPs versus framing. And the $500 per day, if you remember the input for the cost per day, that will be added to the cost to get to the cost number on the blue bar for cost savings. So we'll talk how that works in this case. Here's structure, and here I will again just speak to the numbers just once, and in next pages I'll just again reference that we take the numbers and we put them into the tool. But here you have $25,000 as a framing package for conventional framing, and you have the $35,000 for the package for SIP panels. So you see that right here in the tool, $25,000 for the enclosure for framing, $35,000 for SIPs. And if you remember, we had $4,000 of framing for SIPs because the interior walls are built with conventional framing. So on this green bar at the bottom, 35,000 plus 4,000 is 39,000. 25,000 plus no other cost is 25,000. So right now that's a $14,000 negative cost savings for SIPs. But there's 3 less days to use SIPs and conventional framing, and at $500 a day, that's $1,500 of savings. So the $14,000 cost increase minus the $1,500 of time savings is where this $12,500 net SIPs cost is at this juncture. Right now, we've only filling in for structure. This is the only cost that we've considered, and there's a negative $1,200, The added value is 0 because we haven't put any inputs for value. So the total true cost, the savings plus value, is minus $1,200, I'm not going to review the detail how we get to these numbers on the next sheets. It's always the same. What I will highlight, though, is how the net cost savings changes as we incrementally add more inputs for each component. So let's go to the next page, insulation. So these are the insulation numbers we put in on our checklist. Now we simply added them to this page over here. You see the costs for roof attic insulation, wall cavity insulation, and rigid insulation or continuous insulation come directly from the checklist with 0 cost for SIPs. And remember on the back side we had the number of days for framing as 2 and or for insulation as 2 and no days to install insulation for SIPs because the insulation is part of the SIP assembly. There's no additional insulation contractor coming in to do the work. So we save 2 days not having that trade come in to do the insulation. So now you see that sum here is 0 for insulation, just for the work on insulation, not counting time. And the sum for the insulation for conventional framing is $5,000. So now we have $5,000 plus 2 days is $6,000 of net cost savings with SIP. So the $12,500 dropped to $6,500 negative. We lost $6,000 from the number on the first page when we just did structure. And that's how this will work. As we keep counting all the cost factors and to get to the true cost, this number keeps decreasing, except as when we get to electric. We'll talk about there. So the next page is airflow control. So this is the section for airflow control. And we take all these costs for the airflow control that we discussed on the checklist, and we drop them in here, 500, 500, 1,000, 1,500. And because they're included with the SIP provider, those costs don't occur with SIPs. So we have another $3,500 of cost savings, another 3 days, and now this number is down to minus $1,500. Then we go to finishes, and we gain a little bit. Again, here's the section with finishes where we had the numbers we talked about on the checklist. We drop them into the tool, just put them right in. It's, again, all aligned, the checklist and the tool. We take the days from the backside, which are 2 days for traditional framing and 1 day for SIPs. Most of that savings on the 1 day come from the less work installing drywall on the exterior walls. So now we have a small amount of extra savings, and this is down to minus 750. Keeps getting lower and lower. We're almost to cost parity, and keep getting more hidden costs integrated into our proposal. On the next page, we deal with mechanical, electrical, plumbing, MEP. So now we're on the back side of the checklist, and we're on this section. As mentioned, we only put in the number for electric, $8,000 versus $8,800. So now the cost will increase a little bit, the net cost savings, because we have additional costs for SIPs. And this is why I put it in for this example. I wanted to see how the numbers can work up and down. And there's also the extra day, $500, 6 versus 5 days. So now the 750 goes up to 2,050 negative. So now it's a little more negative cost or less cost. So that it costs more to use SIPs, over 2,000 more at this juncture, where we are in the in the tool. Now on the next page, we go to quality control and lean construction, and we take this section that we completed in the checklist, and we drop all those numbers into the tool. So $300 for inspections versus $150, $1,000 for rework versus $2,000, 2 versus 1 dumpster, and we have in the cycle time section 2 days versus 0. So now we go cost positive. We're $400 savings because we use SIPs. When we get to the last component in the tool, the last construction cost component, now we've gone positive. So we're saving money using SIPs for compared to framing. And so now we're going to have to go move to added value, and you'll see we get even further cost advantage. And remember, at the green bar, we're just always totaling what these costs are, not counting for time. So now we go to the added value page of the tool. We're in that part of the process, and this is the section of the checklist that we're on, and we're going to insert all these values right into the checklist. $2,000 for quality of strength and accuracy, $1,000 for resilience. We have the 19 square feet gain because of thinner walls, the 400 square foot storage loft above the bedrooms, 380 square feet of vaulted ceiling, and no benefit. We assume that the project qualified for zero energy ready before SIPs with just framing, and so we're assuming no benefit there, and we're documenting our insurance cost. So now you see we have a $37,000 $250 value added, $37,250 of added value from all the volume and quality and resilience. That's the additional benefit. So we add A plus B, and we have our number $37,650. And that's the cost advantage for SIPs. The last page of the tool itself is the summary. And this is the way the summary lays out. You have three sections. You have just the final total on the true cost for SIPs versus framing. You have the component costs for each of the components: structure, insulation, airflow control, finishes, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, quality control, and lean construction. And then you have construction time accounted for. So all those components are here, and then you have all the added value results, only for those that contribute to added value. So in this case, it's quality, it's enhanced space, and those are the two that are driving all the added value. And what you'll see is that the $37,650 number is what is shown here as your total true cost. So this is a summary of that section of the dashboard. All the component costs that add up to $400 of net cost advantage are right here in the net cost savings, $400. And then the value, $37,250 from all the quality and enhanced space, that shows up here. So that's how this whole tool works. Looking at them individually, this is your power number. This is your true cost result, a $37,650 cost advantage. These are your summary numbers. This is a wealth of information for you. Again, you are seeing what's driving the cost comparison between SIPs and conventional framing. You have $39,000 versus $25,000, $14,000 that the SIPs big package is higher than the framing package. This is a number that's giving sticker shock to builders and making them resistant to using SIPs. But then you are armed with where the power cost savings come from. You're getting $5,000 cost benefit from insulation. You're getting a $3,500 cost benefit from airflow control. You're only getting a small benefit from finishes. That may make you think to even leave it out so you don't distract the builder from that, from trying to justify that savings, and just you can use or not use it because it's not big enough to warrant a lot of effort. The MEP savings are negative because you have extra costs. If the builder insists that the electrician is going to charge more, you have to respect that builder's reality and you have to listen and include it. And then you have the quality benefit is $2,300 versus $850, so it's about a $1,500 additional benefit. And construction time, 10 days, accounts for $5,000 of less cost for SIPs. So because of these summary results, you know what's driving your cost comparison with framing, and you know how important it is to emphasize certain of these cost numbers when you engage the builder. And the last one I'll talk about is the summary of the added value. Very importantly, what happens here is you only see the key numbers that are contributing to value. So on enhanced quality, you have the number for strength and dimensional accuracy, and resilience should show up here as $1,000. And then enhanced space, you're getting numbers for the additional conditioned square feet due to thinner walls, $20,000 for the value of the storage loft, and $9,500 for the value of the vaulted ceilings. Now the rubber meets the road. You have to integrate these results into your sales messaging and your sales process with the builder. You've done the hard work. You must attend the next 4th video. We have to do this right. We have to translate this value with our builder clients. Don't miss the next 4th video. See you there.